Lives Matters, LGBTQ, Rohingya, Women's Bloody Matters, these are just a few examples of the protests that have been calling out for equality and justice for the past years. One of the rising issues nowadays is the employment equality, which is a universal human issue that everyone, regardless of their genders and race, have the opportunity of facing these problems. Everyone, everywhere in this world deserves the same opportunity and power as their own self. And in today's video, we would like to introduce you to the political model that supports our dream in both equality of life equality and employment equality, the famous Scandinavian model, the Nordic model.
So what is the employment inequality? Well, the employment inequality is the way that everyone has the equal welfare and employment opportunities. The different factor could be from the gender, the accent, and the rest in the workplace. The Employment Equality Act is the law that protects you from the unfair treatment or any discriminant. To make sure that every worker are given the same opportunities and treated justly. To avoid this inequality, the international has been set the standard of the trade union or labor union to support and given the as one for the requirement selected by for everyone. But this not cover every country's issue. Regarding to the most aspects such as the regions, the custom, and the immigrants, each country have their own policy to tackle the unemployment issue. Following to the one case in the USA, which is the LGBTQ title employment discriminatory case in the Supreme Court, on June 15, 2020, the Supreme Court issued an option in the three cases. It will consider whether or not the VRI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited the discriminatory employment based on the sex, protect LGBTQ people or not. The decision has been affirmed that LGBTQ people are protected. Will have the profound impact on the LGBTQ people.
No one should be fired from their job or evicted from their home because who they are or who they love. This legislation will guarantee that our LGBTQ friends and neighbors and family will be full members of the American family and with all the protections that comes with that.
So what, when, where, why, and how everyone will be equal? We do need jobs and better well-being, right? So now we're gonna look at the best answer, which is Nordic model, which will provide the best equality to everyone, as I'm gonna show you here.
When you have equal opportunities, you use the whole talent, and that makes the country really also competitive. People think that, oh, isn't that extremely expensive for the state? Don't you have to have very high taxes? The reality is what is expensive is if you have a system where all children don't have an opportunity to have quality education. Just imagine the talent you lose with such a system. And if you look at, for example, the taxes in Norway on income, they're not much higher than in other states or countries where you have to pay for the school, and there are very divided education system.
What model should be the best answer to employment inequality? We would like to introduce you to one of the best models which provide the best quality of life for the citizen, and that is a Nordic model. This model comes from a combination of economics and social policies which engrave in the system. This means that the citizen has to pay higher tax. However, their welfare seems to be outstanding comparing to other countries who do not have this model. To illustrate, Denmark, which has this Nordic model, that the citizen could be paying the tax up to 60% of their income, and they could be spending 25% of their daily spending for value-added tax. It may seem extremely high, but the welfare they get in return, such as 18 years of free education or free of tuition in some universities. This reflects that the Nordic model provides basic education to even higher education for their high taxes. Some people might say that it is worth it. Another interesting thing to look at from Nordic model is their strong labor union. Their labor union provides 8 months of leave in 1 year, plus the full paid wages for the mothers who take maternity leaves. For the case of unemployment, after a person gets fired, they have 2 years to look for a new job, and while they're looking for a new job, they will still be getting paid from their former workplace until that person can find a new job. And for people who retired, the Nordic model provides pension. The labor unions also support equality in many ways. No matter who you are, whether you are an employee or the employer, you should be treated equally as anyone. However, there are no minimum limit for wages. But that doesn't mean that you are obliged to take anything that your employer or your boss offers to you. The Nordic wage usually comes from discussion and negotiation between a person and a company. So if you get an unfair treatment in your incomes, you can go to the court to sue the company and they will protect you.
The Nordic models value equality of opportunity for every group of people in the society. Everyone should have proper education, free healthcare, and a work-life balance. The system will continue to give support with retirement fund as well. With this much of benefits providing to the people, there are always a group of people who are taking advantages of this tax money without doing nothing. But on the other side, it still benefits the most group of people in the society. In the end, to sustain this model, what you need is trust from the people in your country. To look from the population's perspective, it is a big amount of money they have to pay each month. So it is important for the government to build trust between them and the people, to ensure you are making and providing the best life equality for the people.
Which Nordic provisions should apply to Thailand's structure? Well, to solve Thailand's unemployment issues and other issues stated, I would like to assume the Nordic model of education provisions and jobs requirements are fair to its citizens, while Thailand's education and labor welfare are heavily unfair to its citizens. To precisely explain this, in Thailand, there is a provision that stated that every children must be provided with free education until they are reached the age of 15. Well, but in reality, what the government actually exercises is not providing free access to education at all, but instead a small amount of money which might not be enough to pay an average semester fee in some schools. And there are even a larger problems of inequality, where the standards of Thailand education has a huge gap of inequality in terms of school equality, like teachers and courses. Unless you are learning in the number one ranked schools or international schools in Thailand, a normal learning in an ordinary school will not be sufficient enough to compete in the same field as those students who learn in a far more superior schools. And because of the problem of inequality in education, this problem leads to inequality in our workplaces, as Thailand educational standards only extend to 15 years, but the minimum education for most professions are in bachelor degrees, leaving those who cannot afford schools to have to find other professions which will give them a lower pay, and not improving our society as a whole. Following to this, I will raise the question to you: how every citizen in Thailand can get better jobs and quality of life with better education.
Living from hand to mouth doesn't even give you a complete picture of what Rohrbach and her family are going through. Thinking about when the next meal is going to come along has become a daily routine for this family. Having the electricity and water supplies cut because they can't afford to pay the bills is also considered normal for them. And at 7 months pregnant with a new baby along the way, Rohrbach's worries are only mounting.